I truly hope Mark lives up to his name. To face his father and survive, he'll need to be...
Welcome back to the Desert Island Institute of Film. I am Diet Dr. Paul, your host for the inaugural episode of the Desert Island Primer, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about movies and TV. Today's episode is everything you need to know about Invincible Season 1.
You have no idea how much I wanted you to say that.
If you're anything like me, unsolicited violence and over-the-top gore is as standard at my kitchen table as the table itself. Let's just stop and appreciate for a second Lord Kirkman, who in the year 2003 bought us not only The Walking Dead, but Invincible as well. Amen. But I digest. Invincible Season 1 released its first 3 episodes on March 25th, 2021 via Amazon Prime. Season 1 has an audience score of 92% and a critic score of 98% on Rotten Tomato, and an 8.7 out of 10 rating on IMDb. Season 1 stars a plethora of Walking Dead alumni, headlined by Steve Yeun, who plays a 17-year-old Mark Grayson, the mild-mannered son of Nolan Grayson, superhero extraordinaire aka Omni-Man, voiced by the legend himself, J.K. Simmons. Omni-Man has been compared to Superman, Homelander, and even Vegeta. But before you rage quit the chat, understand I didn't make these comparisons. Do I look that stupid? Don't answer that question. You know what, before I put my foot in my mouth, let's just get started and I'll introduce you to everyone else as we go. Hold on to your asses. This is the Desert Island Primer for Invincible Season 1. Episode 1 opens up with the Mauler twins, voiced by Kevin Michael Richards, attacking the White House. Enter the Guardians of the Guardians of the Globe. Let's meet the crew. Red Rush, a Russian speedster a la The Flash, voiced by Michael Cudlitz. War Woman, voiced by Lauren Cohen, is the amalgamation of Wonder Woman and any random female superhero. Darkman, played by Lenny James, is the most egregious ripoff of the show, followed by Ross Marquand as Aquarius, Chad Coleman as Martian Man, Sonequa Martin Green as Green Ghost, and last but not least, their leader, the Immortal, who is also voiced by Marquand, but more on him later. After the initial battle, we cut to everyday America and our protagonist. Really? Is this going to happen every time I say Invincible? Here we find our 17-year-old protagonist, Mark Grayson, grappling with the fact that he has yet to develop his powers. At school, Mark attempts to defend classmate Amber Bennett from Todd, the school bully, but ironically ends up needing to be saved himself. Amber, voiced by Zazie Beetz, and Mark would eventually end up in a romantic relationship. Finally, while finishing up at work, Mark's powers emerge. And while his father isn't 100% certain Mark is ready, they begin training. Insert montage. It's coming for a montage, yeah! Feeling a little down after training doesn't go as he'd hoped, Mark decides to blow off a little steam by stopping a robbery adorned in a homemade suit reminiscent of an early Spider-Man. After a heart-to-heart moment, Omni-Man introduces Mark to super tailor Art Rosenbaum, who fashions Mark a proper super suit. This is also the moment Mark picks his hero moniker, Invincible. The first episode ends with Omni-Man ambushing the Guardians of the Globe at their headquarters, eventually killing the entire team, but not before falling unconscious due to the heavy damage he sustained in the fight. A now comatose Omni-Man is being held in a hospital underneath the Pentagon, one run covertly by the Global Defense Agency, an operation headed by the ever-ominous Cecil Stedman, played by Walton Goggins. After learning the fate of the Guardians, Mark is called in to help a different supergroup called the Teen Team battle an extra-dimensional alien race called the Flaxans. Invincible and company are able to fend off the aliens, mostly due to Robot, played by Zachary Quinto, discovering a time dilation difference between the Flaxans' dimension and Earth. In layman's terms, it means the aliens got real old real quick. Mark recognizes one of the Teen Team members, Adam Eve, as a classmate, Samantha Eve Wilkins, played by Jillian Jacobs. Later, the Flaxans return to Earth, this time armed with anti-aging technology. However, Invincible and the Teen Team are able to prevail once again, causing the Flaxans to retreat, never to be heard from again. Or at least for a few minutes, until they return for the third time. These crafty buggers are almost successful. Unfortunately, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Omni-Man wakes from a coma just in time to follow the Flaxan army back to their home dimension, where it's razed to the ground, smiting every last Flaxan alive. Meanwhile, Mark squares off with Alan the alien, voiced by Seth Rogen, who is there to test Earth's defensive capabilities for the coalition of planets. Eventually, the two realize Alan is at the wrong planet, mistaking Earth for the similar-sounding Urath. The duo befriend one another before Alan departs. Cecil enlists the help of a demon detective named Damien Darkblood, played by Clancy Brown, who theorizes that the killer was amongst the Guardians. After a televised funeral, Mark and his parents attend the Guardians of the Globe's private burial with family and friends. While there, Damien Darkblood questions Omni-Man, hinting at his suspicions. Cecil tasks Robot to form and captain a new Guardians of the Globe team. Robot merges teen team members Rexplode, played by Jason Mantzoukas, Duplicate, played by Melise Zhao, and Adam Eve, with the newly recruited Monster Girl, Black Samson, and Shrinking Ray, played by Kevin Michael Richards, Carrie Payton, and Gray Griffin, respectively. However, Adam Eve quits almost immediately after finding her boyfriend Rexplode cheating with Duplicate. Later, Cecil sends Mark and Adam Eve to deal with supervillain Doc Seismic, voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, who is attempting to destroy Mount Rushmore. Unsuccessfully so, I might add. Adam Eve, saddened by the realization that Mark is no longer available romantically, disappears. With the help of Robot, the Mauler twins are able to escape the Global Defense Agency prison they were being held at. Damien Darkblood eventually questions Mark's mom, Debbie Grayson, played by Sandra Oh, leading to her eventual suspicion of her husband Omni-Man. Disillusioned with the lack of progress on the Guardians' murder case, the Red Rush's widow, Olga, decides to sell her house and return to Moscow. Meanwhile, Omni-Man refuses Cecil's request to chaperone the first manned mission to Mars, only for Mark to volunteer. Despite a successful landing, Mark's preoccupation with his relationship issues allows for Martians to abduct the astronauts. The Martian Emperor quickly orders their execution in an effort to prevent the species of parasitic sequids from reaching Earth and destroying the universe as we know it. Hearing this, Mark hastily evacuates the astronauts back to their ship, unaware that the Martians secretly replaced one of the astronauts with a Martian. On Earth, Omni-Man attempts to rekindle his relationship with Debbie, but only does so with half-truths. Cecil realizes that Omni-Man is the killer, but wants to understand his motive before attempting to confront him. Damien Darkblood is exiled back to Hell, but not before hiding his notes in Debbie's closet. The Mauler begins the process of cloning himself while Robot studies his methods. After stealing a sample of Rexplode's DNA, Robot then gives the sample to his physical self, the deformed Rudy Connors. Debbie finds Damien Darkblood's notes and Omni-Man's bloody suit, causing her suspicions to resurface. Robot offers the recently reminted Mauler twins a job, while Mark promises to help Amber volunteer at a soup kitchen as payback for being neglectful. However, Mark must once again put their relationship on the back burner and help Super Enforcer Titan overthrow his boss Machine Head, who in true villain fashion predicted their move and hired a ton of backup to play cops and robbers with Invincible's face. Eventually, the Guardians arrive to help, but are easily handled, leading to Mark, Monster Girl, and Black Samson being severely wounded by Battle Beast. Fortunately, this prompts the rest of the Guardians team to finally work together, leading to Battle Beast doing his best cowardly lion impression by tucking tail and fleeing the battle. The GDA medevac Mark and the injured Guardians, while Machine Head is arrested, leading to Titan taking over the reins. Cecil takes a sample of Mark's blood to find his cells are literally invulnerable to every test they run. After recovering from his injuries, Amber, Mark, and his best friend William take a college visit to Upstate University to stay with Rick, Will's crush. While on campus, Mark battles a rampaging cyborg that escaped the experiments of a mad scientist, D.A. Sinclair, voiced by Ezra Miller, which might be the best piece of method acting since Christian Bale in Terminator Salvation.
What the fuck is it with you?
William figures out Mark's true identity, and Amber breaks things off after he abandoned her to fight the cyborgs, which he does again almost immediately to rescue Will and Rick, who were abducted by the mad scientist D.A. Sinclair, whose goal was to turn them into cyborgs in an effort to add them to his ever-growing army. Mark intervenes, but not before Rick is turned into a cyborg. Sinclair is arrested, while Cecil is too quick to confiscate his technology after seeing how much trouble they gave Mark. Art Rosenbaum confirms to Debbie that Omni-Man is in fact the Guardian's killer, but they both agree to keep it a secret. The Mauler twins make progress in growing Robot a human form, but also exhume the recently deceased Guardians leader, Immortal, as a contingency plan against their benefactor. Adam Eve finally finds her calling and decides to skip college and use her powers in humanitarian endeavors, and sets off to do so. Debbie enters witness protection with the GDA after Omni-Man kills Cecil's second-in-command alongside a house full of agents who had the Graysons under surveillance. After his new body is complete, Rudy has his consciousness transferred before finally pulling the plug on his own life support. Rudy betrays the Mahler twins and hastily leaves to go meet the Guardians. Upon arrival, he explains himself to the team and eventually reveals that Omni-Man killed the Guardians. Cecil attempts to kill Omni-Man by deploying the recently acquired cyborgs and a kaiju. Mark and Adam Eve join Omni-Man's battle with the kaiju. The Mahler twins revive Immortal, who immediately flies off to avenge his fallen comrades, and Mark is able to defeat the kaiju, while news helicopters catch Omni-Man killing the Immortal on live TV. Mark struggles with the truth after Omni-Man tells him the story of his true heritage, that he's there to conquer Earth and subjugate the entire planet into Viltrumite control. He even likened the love for Mark's mother to that of a pet. Omni-Man fails to convince Mark to join him, and a huge fight ensues. When the dust settles, Chicago is in ruins, thousands are dead, and Mark is nearly beaten to death. Unable to deal with what he's just done, Omni-Man leaves Earth and disappears. Amber and Mark settle their differences and begin dating once again. Mark meets with Alan the alien and learns that the Viltrumites will eventually return to Earth. Alan thinks they can stop Viltrumite expansion if Mark works with the Coalition of Planets. The Mahler twins are arrested and sent back to the GDA prison, while Immortal, who is somehow still alive, is once again on life support. Cecil commissions D.A. Sinclair to produce more cyborgs, now referred to as Reanimen. That's everything you need to know about Invincible Season 1. Stick around, we'll do updates for the rest of this season and many more things. If there's a movie or TV show that you'd like me to do next, put that in the comments. Also, we're going to be doing a giveaway when we get to 500 subscribers, so keep an eye out for that. There'll be instructions on how you can enter to win that. It should be pretty awesome. So yeah, stick around for the next episode of Desert Island Institute of Film. We'll see you at the movies.